It's hard to believe how we're still continuing on with this crazy story, and how it somehow has a different variety than what we're dealing with. Especially with the little bit of tweaks in the same story as before. And we are sadly involving an extra person in our little misadventure. Once I deal with a few minor things, though, so this pausing will probably be paused. So, A, I'm gonna deal with some shit, and B, I'm gonna find me something to drink so I can fucking English. And C, once those things are done, I'm gonna get onto it. But we're gonna pause. You won't notice a thing. Alright, now that that's done, let's continue on. Let's see what now happens. It's Keiichi-kun. Good morning. She was ecstatically waving her arms at me, already brimming with energy. What do you mean, good morning? It's already evening. Just say hello, or something like that. But this is the first time I've seen you today. I thought good morning would be right? Okay. I think I know where you're going, huh? And good morning it is. Good morning, Rina. I grabbed her head and rubbed it with my hand. She squirmed, reveling in the motion like a cat. Hey, Kei-chan, sorry about yesterday. I ended up leaving without telling you. It's my fault. I made you wait so long. Are you talking about setting up for the festival yesterday? How was it, Keiichi-kun? Did you do your job properly? The slight muscle pain throughout my body and my sluggish movements were obvious enough. I did great. I'm pretty worn out now, though. I grinned dryly, and the three of us break into laughter. Where's Sadako and Rika? Aren't we meeting them with the festival? Yep. Rika-chan has actually been there since yesterday because she has such an important job. I think Satoko stayed with her, so they're already at the shrine. Oh, I just remembered. Today was Rika's big performance. She'd been practicing especially hard this day. As for being her friend, I need to make sure I went and cheered her on. So let's go right away. As we got closer to the shrine, we started passing by more people and seeing some parked cars. It got noisier too. I thought I could hear something like a bond dance. Without being able to restrain my impatience, I dashed the entire flight of stone steps. Keiichi-kun, you're going too fast. Wait for me. Man, Kei-chan, you're a little kid. Oh, the shrine grounds were packed with people. It was a festival, if I ever saw one. They went all out this year. Amazing, amazing. They're coming from Hinamizawa. The bedridden old man from the Kimiyoshi branch here, family is here too. I didn't know that guy went home from Nagashi last year and stayed in bed ever since. There was a lot of villagers here that I didn't even know. They must have all been pouring in just for today's festivities. Oh, Sadako-chan. Hey! Well, if it isn't everyone, hello to you all. Sadako. A lot of people today, so don't get lost in the crowd, okay? Who do you even think you're talking to? A kid. Sadako too seems somehow energetic. Of course, I'm the same way as well. Where's Rika-chan? She still has free time, doesn't she? Rika was giving her respects to the mayor and other important people, so she'll be coming before long. Oh, since Rika is shrine maiden for today's festivities after all, she has to do all that stuff. Probably a pain for her to say hello to all the elders. It really is a pain. Hi, everyone. Rika-chan, I wanted to take you home. She wore an immaculate shrine maiden outfit that looked fresh off the shelves. A perfect fit for her somehow mystical appearance. Or mystical, I should say. Wait, was I right? Hang on, where's the mouse? Mystical. God, Gonzo, can you even English? So, how's it fit? Not too long, is it? My grandma gave me some safety pins in case the sleeves are too long. Oh, hang on, I gotta deal with a minor inconvenience. I hate the woes of forgetting what you have to do. Yikes. Anyways, it's alright, says Rika. It really is comfortable. As she spoke, she done some twists and stretches. It's great! It's great! It's so cute! We had a glitch a little there. Sorry about that. There was only one person here getting a nosebleed from watching Rika move. Right there. Keiji, don't you think she's cute? Don't you? If you don't, she'll be mine and I'll take her home with me. She's really cute. Totally cool. Just enough that I want to pretend to be her big brother or dad and take pictures with her. If we take a picture from 2 different places and make it stereoscopic, we can eat or stare at a real-life Rika-chan at our houses whenever you want. Sounds great. Fantastic, even. Her eyes and mine glittered with stars as our nose bled and we drooled. Rika, you better stay away from them. Yeah, I might get locked away in a basement somewhere. You guys look like you're enjoying it. Especially you, Rika. Me, you're being harsh. We all laughed. Okay, how about we not hang around here and we'll get straight to the festival. Not much time left until Rika's big debut. Right. Let's go, everyone. Yo, if this isn't the daughter of the Sonozaki clan, eat up! The yakisoba is packed full of pork. This year we filled it as much as we could. We even put in fried calamari. Gotcha, old timer. The yakisoba this year looks quite the achievement. You have squid. Put a lot of time into this, didn't you? It's tasty, really tasty. Yeah, the squid is delicious, but your aroma is just fantastic. It wonderfully compensates for how soft it tends to be. A delightful amount of squid and pork. Not bad at all, I gotta say. Keijan, you sound like you could walk into a cooking program and become a host straight away. Yeah, when I see Keiichi-kun acting like that, it's so good, it somehow tastes better. I just hear somebody beeping. Somebody backing up. I hope it didn't get picked up. Something tells me it might be. Oh well. I don't discriminate delicious food. So anything that I say is tasty, it's gotta be worth trying out, isn't it? Then Keiichi, give us your opinion on this yakisoba again. I'll do it in 2 words. Absolutely scrumptious. If I have a second stomach, I'd buy another one right now. Having heard my 3-star rating, a whole line of people suddenly formed in front of the stand. That's amazing. Keiichi-chan said it was so good, a crowd started to form. Not bad. Nothing to brag about, but I still decided to stick on my chest and put on the air. Isn't that so? Perhaps I'm gonna try it out. Mister, could I perchance bother you for one takoyaki? She brought out a stick of takoyaki, balls of fried octopus, from the adjacent stand, and after blowing on it, puts one of them in her mouth. Now listen, Satoko, if you give it a good rating, Rena will buy it too. Chew, and... time for the Hinamizawa Michelin judge Satoko Hojo to give the impressions. She was all for it a moment ago, but she started to give her thoughts some hesitation. So, what's the matter? Everyone else takes one of their own and puts it in their mouths. Rena got gypped. Mine's bad. There's no octopus in it. This takoyaki vendor. Could this be some sort of festival-only octopus-free takoyaki stand? An evil takoyaki stand that skimped on octopus because they figured it would make them good money? Mine has some. Cool. Pretty good considering there's some octopus in it. How am I supposed to explain this octopus-free takoyaki? Everyone wondered about how it's good. Our quizzical look seems to be drawing equally dubious stares from the people in line. How about this? Takoyaki without any octopus is really healthy. And even people who don't like octopus can eat delicious takoyaki. After hearing that, some surprised guests left the line. It had the exact opposite effect. Well, let's give this a try. A self-inspired take on takoyaki in which you can clearly taste the simple flavors of the flour, green onions, and pickled ginger. Unaffected taste is bolstered by the absence of octopus. Not that bad, but when you put the no octopus in it clause, more people left. Any good comments, Rika? You can be honest. 400 yen is way too much for this. Well, that was very, very brutal. Even more customers left the line, dealing a lethal blow to the vendor. There were other takoyaki stands around after all. Well, I don't want to be doing this. I got an idea. Satoko, you started all this. How about you give us a good turnaround? What? I can't do it. How do you expect me to lavishly praise upon takoyaki without octopus? You're an idiot. Her angry outburst was the finishing blow. The customers are all gone. The guy is staring at us. Why is that? Why is that? No saving this crowd. Perhaps I will lend a generous hand. Keiichi-kun, you can do it. We want you to say the takoyaki vendor dude didn't put any octopus in. Don't smile as to say something that bitter. Alright, let's see if we can put this into perfect words. This will be the only chance to get to see a professional at work. Let's watch carefully. I shoved the stick into an octopus takoyaki and crammed it into my mouth. As before, none in it. But Mion's had some in it. That was the important point. The man who runs this, he truly loves takoyaki in every meaning of the word. It could be said that he adores it. What? They gasped in surprise, including the takoyaki vendor that was glaring at us. This man truly loves his takoyaki, and because he loves it, he doesn't want to create half-hearted random ones. Isn't that right? The vendor looked down, unsure. Those watching were listening intently, wanting to know why Octopus-less takoyaki deserves such a high rating. Keiichi, if he really and truly loved it, why did he make it without any octopus? Is he not betraying that very takoyaki? One would say. In one sense, it could be a betrayal. However, it's best the best possible compromise this man could find. This man is making real takoyaki today as he always does, but 1 or 2 of them on each stick are the real ones. You're right. The one I ate did have octopus in it. And considering it did actually have it, it didn't taste bad at all, you know? It was a bona fide takoyaki. And as for the other ones, it was the biggest compromise you could make against the biases of the general populace, who all think that there need to be 8 pieces on the stick, or else it won't be real takoyaki. Keiichi-kun, I don't understand what you're talking about. Why is one of them the real thing and all the other ones fakes? The secret lies in the octopus, Mr. This Octopus. It's Akashi octopus, isn't it? In recent years, the number caught in Akashi has decreased, and the prices have risen drastically. The prices are now so high you wouldn't think of them in takoyaki, would you? The man who had been looking down this whole time mumbled. Yeah, that's right. Akashi octopus, very expensive. But this man absolutely had to have the Akashi octopus. He could have bought much worse quality octopus for cheaper as much as he wanted, and he would still be able to fool everyone. There are plenty of other scamming takoyaki vendors who claims theirs are from this region, even though they're not. But this man wouldn't accept it. He wouldn't tell lies. Akashi octopus are supreme. He will never relinquish this one stubborn conviction. This man loved takoyaki. That's why he never lied. Yet there was one point that he absolutely had to compromise on. And what might that be? The number. The popular opinion that a stick of takoyaki should have 8 pieces on it. Even if it's real octopus, he couldn't charge 400 yen for just 1 piece, now couldn't he? If he didn't have 8 pieces, nobody would buy them. This man wept over it. In order to make just 1 true piece of takoyaki, he wouldn't even let himself lie through the other 7. The octopus-free takoyaki vendor burst into tears. I gently clapped one of his shoulders. No matter what anyone else says, I will never forget how genuine you are. You, sir, are a true vendor of takoyaki. You are the only one in the world with the right to call himself that. As I embraced the shoulders of this man, shedding his manly tears, those watching delivered a round of applause, moved by the speech. Everyone, I beg you, eat some of this true takoyaki vendor's takoyaki. If we don't treasure the genuine men like this, how can we protect the true path of the takoyaki? If nobody else will eat them, I will eat them all! Everyone watching is lining up. Keiichi-kun, you did it! You did it! I think it's more they thought of Kei-chan's propaganda speech interesting rather than the takoyaki being good. Kei-chan, you could probably sell plain old rocks if you tried. You would go over well at the entrance of Akihabara Station. Rika, I have never heard of this Akihabara. Where the hell is it? Stunned at my successful pitch, the guy manning the stall next called us out. Hey guys, how about you do that for my sweets? You all get the gist of it, right? Your turn this time, Rina. Okay, I'll do my best. When apricot sweets are cold, they're very, very good. The apricot is sitting so quietly and nice on top of the syrup. So cute. I want to take it home. Looks like she lost herself midway. But a girl giving it such a natural praise was in and of itself bringing customers. A line formed right behind her. Now the Okonomiyaki stand. Satoko, batter up. Rather, well... Hey! You know, the crunch of the fried tempura batter mixed with the yakisoba is simply to die for. A huge piece of bacon laid on top of it. You bite into it, and it all comes flooding out. Chomp, chomp. Freaking great. I want to try some. A huge line formed out of my words. What on earth is this? All these onlookers are just following us around all the stands. When people hear about food from others and they try for themselves, it tastes a lot better than it normally would. Huh. So that explains it. Even Rika was gouging herself on the food, getting sauce on the bib she put on to prevent her shrine maiden outfit from getting dirty. Aha! The other guys are getting into it too. Okay, Kei-chan, what do you think I should do? How about to stand next to that? Show them the depths of the power. But Kei-chan, to stand next to that is... Oops. A goldfish scooping stand. A bit out of our element. Nope, as club president, I won't flee no matter what or who my opponent is. Let's get started. I look forward to a splendid performance. The onlookers were watching me on with hopeful eyes. A slight glitch here too. Whoopsie! Welcome, welcome. Here your net and bow. Or bowl. And here goes nothing. Man, the goldfish are energetic today. They really look delicious. Small things like these, you can crunch them down whole. What? Neon, what in the world are you saying? Nichan, you eat goldfish? Did you eat the one Renacon last year? No, I didn't say anything like that. Her face went red, and she shook vehemently in denial. Well, I mean, you just said so yourself, that they look delicious. I think it was kind of blatant denial. Yes, you did, and you said so. My sister is omnivorous. She'll eat anything that can go down her throat. If they taste good, maybe I'll try one next time. No, Rika, don't! You'll get sick! Wait a second. And what the hell? Shion, how long have you been there? For about a few seconds now. So, Kei-chan, Mion, everybody, nice to see you. Good evening. Oh, Lord have mercy on me. Where did you even come from? I've been here since the big with the yakisoba. You were all so loud, I found you right away. Oh, God. Got nothing to do with this, do you? Go somewhere else. Jeez, Mion, don't treat me so cruelly. Right, Kei-chan? You're okay with me being here, right? She asked, grabbing my arm and pushing her chest into it. Bounce. Kei-chan, you're a pervert. Your nose is bleeding. When you squish a jelly donut, the jelly comes out, right? It's the same. This isn't something I have any control over. Is that right? Will more come out if I squeeze harder? Shion's cleavage is right up against my chest. Drip. Oh. Shion, what the heck are you trying to do? How vulgar. I seem to have misjudged you. What about my flat chest? Rika clasped onto my other arm too. A plentiful plump feeling on my left shoulder. The sour sensation of a young unripe fruit on my right. Shion, Rika, and I, our faces bruised, fell to the ground, limbs sprawled. Nice job, Rena. Everyone's so dirty. Rena punched me. Really hurts. Rika, you get what you deserve. Sheesh. Now that Shion was here, the energy around us had increased 120. You friends are so much fun, Mion. I'll never get bored of them. Shit. Right. If you weren't here, it would be way more fun. I want to stay with you all, but if I continue to disengage on, my sister will look like she'll be biting my head off right away. I'm just going to retreat for now. I'll be back. See you, Mion. Don't come back. Get some salt. Someone get salt. After teasing her older sister, Shion ran away into the crowd and disappeared. I feel that I have borne witness to a rare side of Mion. When Mi-chan is with Shi-chan, she looks kind of cute. She smiled happily, earning her a whack on the head from Mion. Don't say dumb stuff like that. How about we just go over to the next stand? We went about just like that, really noisy and lively to the other stands. We were paying money towards the beginning, but midway through the guys running the shop thought we were just too funny and we ended up being able to fool around without paying. And then a thump. The vigorous sound of a big taiko drum echoed through the air. Rika, looks like it's time. Yep, it looks it. It's just about time for Rika to appear for the Federation dance. I'm a little nervous. Believe in yourself. All of your sweat will amount to something, alright. Mion slapped hard on Rika's back. That's right. You'll do fantastic, Rika. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's the spirit. I balled my hand to a fist and raised it into the air. We're rooting for you, Rika. Go for it. Remember? Go for it! Yay! Rika gave the best smile I've ever seen and pivoted her heel and ran off. Okay, we should get going too. Let's go cheer her on. You mustn't. You must keep silent during the performance. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I rubbed her hand through her hair. She was worried about her good friend up to the end. We'll just hurry. All the good spots will be taken. Come on. So Mion ran off, and everyone else followed a moment later. A large amount have already clustered in tight space to watch the edifying dance. Quite a lot of people. I turned to look around at everyone else, but nobody was there. Where did they go? They got lost among all the people. Finally spot the back of Mion's head on the other side of the crowd. It didn't look like I could get over there. Well, we got separated, no big deal. We'll just meet back when Rika's dance is over. I gave up on finding the others and wandered around trying to find a place where I'd be able to see better. It didn't take long for me to realize I had settled for watching between the heads of the people in front of me. Once again, an even louder taiko drum resounded. This one was to announce the beginning of the dance. I couldn't see very well, but it seemed like Rika had come on stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. I heard low exhalations of admiration, the seniors rubbing their prayer beads in gratitude. Everyone's heads were in the way, as I couldn't see. It was a bit frustrating. We should have cut playtime short and come here to get the good spots. After Rika-chan intoned the prayers, she took the festival hoe and walked to the pile of quilts stacked on the altar. That's right. The point of the ceremony was to purify bedding and to hold a memorial service, wasn't it? Then the solemn and offertory dance began. She practiced using mochi pounding mallets. The awkwardly shaped festival hoe Rika held seemed rather heavy. Back and forth, up and down. It was doubtlessly difficult to even lift in the air, but she sweated and waved, raised and dropped again and again. She couldn't just deal with it and do it grudgingly. As the shrine maiden, she needs to retain the dignity and solemnity present at this festival. There must be a ton of pressure on Rika's shoulders right now. Why am I cheering her on for a place that I could barely see her? I'm her friend. I should be right up in the best spot rooting for her. Kei-chan, over here! Someone tugged lightly on the back of my shirt collar. Shion. She beckoned me outside the crowd ring of people. She had a mischievous grin on her face, and I took it as her saying she knew a good place nobody else knew of. So, what's up, Shion? Shh. Just be quiet and come with me. After she told me so, she ran into a big detour around the throng. Great to have someone who knows the lay of the land here at times like this. Impressive though I nearly lost sight of her right away. No more getting separated from me, I ran after her so I wouldn't be left behind. As I wondered in anticipation what kind of secret spot she had in mind, we left the crowds of people and went around the back of the shrine grounds. Wait, where are we going? We're getting further and further away. Shh! Stay quiet and follow me, you'll understand soon. She gave me a wink that reminded me of Miyo as she said that. No sign of people and not much moonlight. It was very dark. We got pretty far away from the crowd of people in the shrine grounds. How are we supposed to see Rika's from here? There must be some high spot around here, is there? Like a rooftop or something we could look down at, right? Why do we have to climb onto the roof? How are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance? Oh, did you really want to see her dance? Kei-chan, could it be that your strike zone is really low? I think we're not on the same page here. So, how about you explain to me what the hell is going on? Shouldn't we be, watching Rika-chan's dance from an easy spot? Oh, who made that promise? Son of a bitch. Something's going on, but she's not telling me. Why me? Why do I always have to misunderstand her? Is it my fault? Am I just reading the wrong things into it? Okay, then why did you call me out of here? With an expression that indicates she wasn't fooling around, she pressed her index finger to my lips and said slowly and quietly, "This place is a dark, dead, empty spot. You can't see it from the festival grounds, and now a male and female of the same age are all alone together." Son of a bitch! Could this be? She's not playing on something crazy again, is she? Shh! Look over there. See? She whispered, pointing to a dark underbrush. And there we saw two figures, a male and a female. Who could those be? Oh. We're right at the scene of a rendezvous. Huh. Look closely, guy. Can you tell who they are? I peered intently into the dark at Shion's suggestion. Tomotaki and Takano. Huh. The two of them were clearly breathing quietly and glancing around to make sure nobody knew they were there, as they crouched before the entrance to a wooden storehouse-like building. So wait a second. Shion, could this be where what you wanted to show me? Kei-chan, you can see Rika's dance any year, but you won't ever get another chance like this, okay? I thought the Sonozaki sisters each had their own personalities, but there are some times like this that they're all too similar. You know what, I'm gonna go back, so don't call me for something like this again, okay? Wait, if you move now, they'll see us! In our noisy argument, Takano suddenly turned around. Oh my, who might that be? We held our breaths and tried to wait it out, but it seems Takano was already aware of the presence. Shion and I exchanged glances, then gave up and climbed out from behind a brush. Well, hi there. Moon sure is beautiful tonight, isn't it? My. If it isn't Shion and Mayubara. Good evening. The moon is certainly pretty. What's this, Keiji-kun? You gotta be smart, you know that. Having a secret date in a place like this? I guess we accidentally interrupted something important, haven't we? You're the ones who are meeting up so secretly. Tomotaki and Takano laughed at themselves, and it got on my nerves for a reason. So, you two weren't having a little rendezvous then? Of course we weren't. Though I don't dislike that kind of romance. Unfortunately, this wasn't the location of a rendezvous either of you would want to see. Sorry for not living up to your expectations.
If this wasn't a rendezvous, then how about you explain it? Tomotaki, stop messing around with the padlock just now. After she said that, I looked at the two of them, and I definitely saw it. Hunched in front of a warehouse door, fiddling with a pretty hefty-looking padlock. Guess we've been found out. We were trying to break into the warehouse. But don't tell anyone, alright? Don't tell anyone. Are you thieves? I demanded unthinkingly, just because how absently Tomotaki was grinning. Never. These are people who steal things. It's not like we were trying to take anything out of here. Well, I see. Then explain why you're trying to unlock a door. It's a forbidden storage house for ritual tools. They say only the Furuta family and a mere handful of others are allowed in. So this is a forbidden storehouse. I took a few steps back and looked at the entire warehouse. It certainly looked like one, built to remove from any signs of people, almost as if it's secret. It was filthy, revealing how little it was ever opened, and it was built to be durable, giving a strange, overpowering impression. Now that I look at it closely, it was certainly different than a normal warehouse. This place, they're called ritual implements. Basically, this warehouse is where they store such tools used in rituals. Well, more accurately, it's a temple where the implements are enshrined. The ritual ho Rika-chan is using for the Alpharderate dance was inside here until just today. Of course, if anyone but the Furuta family enters, they bring impurity into it, so absolutely no one's allowed a single step in. Sanctuary.
So, should we absolutely not be coming to a place like this then?
Screw the rules, I have money!
But Takano was wearing quite a childlike expression, and it's a smile at best, and a terribly cruel grin at worst. I told you I was researching Hinamizawa's folktales and legends out of an interest, didn't I? A lot of the answers to questions I'm curious about are hidden inside here. I've waited all this time until the day for the chance. A chance? Everybody's eyes were fixed on the dance at the shrine grounds today. This was the ultimate blind spot. I see. I didn't know you had locking skills, Tomotaki. Stop it. I don't want to be doing this, okay? Sorry for taking you along with me, but this was all thanks to you, Jiro. I really am grateful. Sheesh, this is the only time, okay, Takano? I don't want to be sneaking into places like this. You really are a good person, Jiro. And clunk! Tomotaki managed to undo the padlock, and he placed it to the side. It's open. Thank you. At long last. Takano gulped. With an unusually excited air about her, she gave the heavy door a shove, and the sharp smell of mold and dust flowed from the gap of the doors. I have claimed curses didn't exist, but in this situation I just couldn't believe them. If we were in such a holy place with our shoes on, it feels like we could be punished somehow. So how about it? You're accomplices. You came all the way here, so why not come in and take the tour? It'll be a little field trip to a museum of precious cultural artifacts that conceal the secret history of Hinamizawa. And it's only open today. We're not accomplices or anything, just to let you know. Aren't you interested, though? I mean, come on. How about we take a peek? She said, predictably linking her arm with mine. But we definitely shouldn't be doing this. It's a holy warehouse, isn't it? You said ritual implements, right? I really feel like we shouldn't be going in. I'm part of the Sonosaki family. I have a good guess as to what we'll probably find in there. But I want to see it too. You want to show something to me? I thought it was just a ploy, but her eyes looked entirely serious. Of course she was the sort of thing who could lie with a straight face.
Of course, I was an average boy too. My curiosity was at least twice that of a normal person. Sleeping, forbidden treasures, never to leave this warehouse. Chances like this won't come around too often. If I had to choose, I might as well see. Until the locked door is open, though, I don't know about this. If you're not interested, Kei-chan, you can leave. I think you'll wonder about it later, though. Tomotage spoke, after listening to our conversation, himself sat down on the stairs to take a rest. I'll keep watch here. Go in and check it out. I'm not too interested, but it might be pretty interesting for a young guy like you, Keiichi, he said, laughing mischievously. There was no ill will in his laughter. Tomotage, do you know what's in here? Kinda. I mean, she told me all about it, Takano. It must be a pain to have to go along with your companion's unique hobbies, huh? Tomotage didn't bother to answer, only responding with a pained smile. Takano had this kind of scary air about her, like she'll drop absolutely everything else for something she had an interest in, and just go straight for it. But Tomotage, on the other hand, he seemed like the gold standard of what a normal person would be. Having him tell me so frankly to go check on it suddenly made the guilt feel lighter. Fine, but just a little. If it's not interesting, I'm gone. You got it. Looks like we've decided. Shall we go in? Jiro, we'll leave this to you. Tomotage waved his hand to see us off. The inside was pitch black, but Takano turned on a battery-powered lantern she brought, revealing a pretty cramped front room. So dark in here. So be careful not to trip on anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door. Takano smiled spitefully, as if leaving Tomotage out of something fun, and began to close the door. Man. Alright everyone, have fun. There was a low, heavy, and loud noise, and we were completely cut off from the outside world and covered in silent darkness. Takano's lantern was the only light we had. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with a backup battery. It won't go out or anything. Looks like Takano noticed my uneasy expression. I couldn't help but blush a little and avert my gaze. Deeper inside, there was a heavy and old but sturdy door with solemn decorations on it. The last door sealing away, or whatever was within. Strange how it has an antechamber, even though it's just a warehouse, isn't it? I believe it's set up this way so that you can open one door at a time, never letting the room with all the tools be seen from the outside. Takano explained this, awfully impressed by the construction. But still, it's really dark in here. What is that? Over there! I spotted a circuit breaker hanging from a clump of wiring, clumsily attached to the wall. Oh hey, isn't there a light switch or something? I flipped the biggest switch I could find, and within the pitch-black room was illuminated by an old bare light bulb. Everyone scrunched up their faces at the sudden strobe-like brightness. Don't! Before she even finished, Shion slapped my hand and flipped the switch back. There was another loud click, and the room returned to darkness, with only the lantern for an illumination. What the hell? You can't be doing that, Kei-chan. We snuck in here, remember? If you turn on the light, it might as well give a bat signal to the sky. I'm scolded by Shion fairly harshly. Looked as if she was worried about whether someone would have seen them from a moment light. It's alright. It was only for a moment. Takano remained a relaxed adult. It seems as if she was confident that she could talk her way out of something if someone ever did see us. How about we go in? Here we go. There. The even heavier door opened, and it wasn't just dust that came out of the air. There was a nasty smell. A smell like opening a dust-filled cupboard in the back of a kitchen that hadn't been opened in years. And the other smell was harder to explain, like raw odor of a fish market. From how the sound echoed, the room felt far larger than the first. Takano held up her lantern and revealed the contents of the expansive room. At the back wall of the storehouse, right in front of us, was a Buddha-like holy object, standing there, looking down at us. I was taken aback by its unseen force, lit up by the slender beam of the lantern. The guardian god of Hinamizawa, Oyashiru. It's far grander than the one at the shrine, Oyashiru. So this is a spirit protecting this place, huh? The one guarding the holy land of Hinamizawa from the impurities of the outside world, and the one delivering punishment after punishment upon those who attempted to sully the land with dam construction. Looks like there are far more tools stored here than I thought, but this is sad. None of them have been maintained. How unfortunate they're in such a state. Even in the dim light, I could see a lot of strange objects lining the walls, ceilings, and shelves. Takano, speaking as if in a trance, was infatuated by the various implements filling the dark room. They weren't very festival-like or traditional, but instead were more the works of a blacksmith the workshop of a blacksmith or a carpenter. A lot of large wooden and metal tools packed in here. Putting it bluntly, it was all pretty boring stuff. I imagined there'd be more artistic things in here from the Heian period, but these are a far cry from being cultural artifacts. My expression betrayed my dashed hopes, and they caught on right away. Oh, is this not interesting for you? I'm not into literature or art, so I can look at the stuff, but I won't understand the value. Keiichi, you really do look like you just don't get it. I guess that's only natural. She reached into the paper bag that she'd been holding the whole time, took out a worn scrapbook, and flipped through it. Then just for you, Keiichi, I'll tell you an old story, a common tale in this region. If you go into the library, it would even be on their recommended reading list. Telling stories in a creepy, dark place? She must have a horror story in mind. Shion's face bellied nothing but calm. If she had the same personality as Mion, she had found fault with me being scared. I'll endure it for now and pretend to be calm. Okay, let's read it. After confirming that I was going to be quiet and listen, she spoke softly like a kindergartner teacher reading from a picture book. Long, long ago, in a certain village in the mountains, there was a swamp. This swamp was very, very deep. Some would call it bottomless. People said it was connected to the depths of hell, the land of demons. The rumors said that it was deeper than the ocean and that anyone swallowed would sink to the underworld. A bottomless swamp. Its name, Onikafuchi. Wait. I thought back to the story I heard yesterday about the sacrifices sinking in the bottomless swamp. Could it be the swamp she's talking about? So this village was Hinamizawa, right? You catch on quickly. That's right. Though it was called Onikafuchi Village at the time. Huh. Onikafuchi. A pretty inauspicious name. It invokes quite the image, doesn't it? I heard the name was changed in the Meiji period. The name of the swamp connected to the hell was Onikafuchi, the demon's abyss. In true name of the village, Hinamizawa, Onikafuchi Village. The villagers belonged to that abyss, or to hell in other words. They lived their lives worshipping the swamp that's said to connect to it. But then one day, demons began to appear, one after the other, from deep within the swamp. The villagers feared that hell was overflowing. The demons mercilessly attacked the villagers. They could only watch in fear. They could do no more than hide themselves and tremble. So, did someone exterminate? Unfortunately, there was no Momotaro or Superman in this fairy tale. Well, did they get the whole village together or fight him? Oh, heavens no. The villagers weren't nearly strong enough to fight on equal terms with the demons. So the only course would be to flee, wouldn't it? They couldn't do that either. To the villagers, it was their beloved homeland. It didn't matter how terrifying the demons were, they wouldn't have to run away so easily. So what did they do? Wouldn't they just wipe out? Unable to fight and unable to run, all they could do was wait for the village to be destroyed. Then when everyone lost hope, their god, Oyashiro-sama, descended unto them. So Oyashiro came down from the sky and beat up demons, huh? You're such a boy, Kei-chan. Always jumping straight to using force to resolve things. She sighed, a little annoyed, and embarrassed I had to hold my tongue. The thing about Oyashiro, he wasn't a violent god who would beat them up like you're saying. He was a kind god filled with love and benevolence. The strength of Oyashiro descended from the heavens couldn't be compared to that of the demons. They didn't even fight. They simply prostrated themselves before his radiant authority. Oyashiro urged them to go back to hell from whence they came, but the demons wept and challenged them, saying they could never return. The world of the demons, too, had harsh commandments. They claimed they had been banished from hell. Demons who didn't even have a place to go, either in hell or the human world. Of course they were at fault for attacking the village. They deeply reflected on it and were sorry. As the villagers conversed amongst themselves, little by little, they came to pity the demons, and after talking with everyone in the village, they decided to live among them. A lot of fairy tales have them being exterminated or driven away, but you don't hear one often where they live in peace. Quite right. Demons are supposed to symbolize all evils, so where they decided to live together with humans is certainly strange. When the demons first heard the villagers' invitation, they doubted their ears, but soon burst into tears of joy. The villagers had given them a place to live. It was sent in payment for this good deed. The demons shared their many kinds of power and secrets within the villagers. Oyashiro was pleased with this happy exchange. He gave the demons the bodies of humans so that they would be indistinguishable from the villagers. He himself decided to stay on the surface and watch over the everlasting peace between them. A land in which man, demon, and god lived together. I thought the word demon was a noun meaning evil that needs to be exterminated. A god might have mediated for them, but you don't often hear happy endings like that where both sides live in harmony. I guess it is kind of interesting. Although the normal fairy tale ends there, it was revised quite a bit during the Edo period in a much longer story. After that, humans and demons intermixed, and eventually there was no difference between them, so the demons ended up disappearing. No sir, not at all. Half of them stayed, just as they were. The knowledge the villagers had received from demons basically made them into something inhuman, what people call transcendent. They were well aware the power they had was heresy, and as those below worshipped them, they lived out their lives in secrecy. This story is the root of many derivative tales and pieces of fiction. It's the foundation, the basis. What do you mean by the root? Their part about the villagers having demon blood. What I mean is, all of the legends from around here are based on the premise that the villagers are descended from demons. There was a hint of amusement in Shion's face as she said that. Like she wanted to say that she too had demonic blood within her.
That was the moment the demon inside awoke. See, this demon has been living within my body for quite some time. But I'm a demon, so the chance I'll keep my promise is pretty slim.
Any proof, though? Maybe it's somehow rooted in historical fact beyond just fairy tales. Maibara, do you believe that demons really did come out of the swamp and breed with humans? Not that I don't believe it, but... When she said demon, she meant the ones from hell. But in ancient Japan, the word wasn't necessarily used to denote only that kind. do you? The more well-known use involves, the drifting foreigner theory. As the story goes, Westerners were shipwrecked in nearby seas, having such markedly different customs that were called demons. Japanese people were relatively similar in appearance than other Asians, but everything about those from the West was different. Their physiques, their faces, their skin color. In Japan, terms like red demon and blue demon evoked images, especially of Westerners. Lacking in skin pigments, Westerners would sunburn easily and turn red. Well, actually, that is true. Only if they haven't been outside in a while. You know, the recluses. Being fair-skinned, I think blood vessels appear on the skin would look blue too. A handful of ancient aliens were driven to Japan and came under persecution, being called demons. They would flee into the mountains to survive, turn into bandit groups, and attack villagers for food and the like. How does that explanation sound? Maybe it's a bit childish. Takano gave me a weird smile. When I happened to come upon such a impromptu hypothesis, I conspicuously followed it up with self-deprecation. Still, she didn't smile as if to make fun of me. Well, not ridiculous. There are a lot of people who subscribe to the drifting foreigner theory. Even so, nobody actually knows what happened. Were they a group of foreigners who had turned to banditry, or were they really demons who had come from the bottoms of hell? Then, Takano, which do you believe? The truth of the matter aside, I rather believe the more fantastic explanation. More fun that way, isn't it? Her answer made her sound a wee bit like a romanticist. Here I thought she'd reject the unrealistic stories like that. Now then, this is where the fun begins. Takano brought an ending to her storytelling and waited for a moment as to tantalize us. Suddenly, Shion looked around as if something had caught her eye. Her head bobbled to and fro like she was making sure nothing changed. Is nothing the matter? I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. She pretended as though nothing happened. Takano also made sure that nothing had happened, then cleared her throat and broached the next subject. I explained that half of the villagers were demon blood. That blood, they actually say, is the blood of the kind of demon that will eat people. Man-eating demons? Oh. That escalated quickly. That blood still runs through the villagers' veins. They say that sometimes the blood awakens from its slumber. I thought the fairy tale had a happy ending, with the humans and demons living in peace, but it's startling to come into a brutal, bloody horror story. Well, they eat people. They say that every decade or so they can't help but want to feast on human flesh. The villagers can't eat the other villagers, so when this happens, it's said that they descended upon the human villages and conducted onikakushi. And what does that mean? Broadly speaking, when a demon kidnaps someone, when a person is demoned away. They say the villagers of Onikafuji would overwhelm unfortunate human villages in order to kidnap sacrifices. Her explanation was plain and simple, but when I imagined what it must have been like, it was terrifying. They lose a human reason and turn to real demons en masse. They attack villages they loathe in the dirty world of the masses below, and kill and eat their sacrifices. So they're no different from demons after all. So what did Oyashiro do, huh? Wasn't he supposed to be staying in the village and watching over this shit? Oyashiro-sama knew about it, of course. Onikakushi isn't indiscriminate. The villagers apparently never kidnapped anyone other than the sacrifices decided upon by their god. In the text, there's usually 1 or 2 people. A village inhabited by those both human and inhuman. It's like the heartwarming episode colors have inverted like negative film, revealing painful and ugly truths. So on the nights when they raided the village, they would feast on the kidnapped sacrifices, which is why the nights became known as Watanagashi. Tonight's festival was Watanagashi. I just couldn't reconcile the fun festival with the horrible tale Takano was telling me. Well, wasn't it about giving thanks to the futons or something? Kei-chan, Wata has another meaning. Entrails. Shion, who had been silent, Saida spoke up. Entrails? Oh, I guess that's true. Like fish guts? Or worse, like a jigsaw puzzle, the fun images I had today and Takano-san's grotesque tale clicked together in my mind. Wata Nagashi is gut spilling. I didn't think saying that could ever feel so nauseating. Yes. It's as if you imagine, my Ibara. Right now, the festival might just be a somewhat early summer festival occurring every June, but back then it used to be so different. It used to be a ghastly, cannibalistic feast held on to the night that the villagers had collected their unfortunate dinner. Yeah, it can't be true. I had no real reason to say that, but I couldn't help it. Maibara, you said that it was a ritual about purifying futons, right? What did you think the futons filled with cotton with Wata represent? Well, futons are futons. They're just beds. They're things for sleeping in. What else could they possibly represent? I was rattling on, desperately attempted to deny the horrible festival that Takano was describing. Deep down, however, I found myself understanding all too well what she was talking about. Futons stuffed with cotton. If cotton represents entrails in both pronunciation and meaning, then entrail-filled futons will have to be fucking humans. Why don't you think back to the offertory dance Rika performed? Don't you know what she was doing up there? Actually, I don't. I didn't even watch the whole thing anyway. Shh. Kei-chan, you're getting too worked up. Shion grabbed one of my ears, reminding me that this wasn't someplace I should raise my voice. Even so, I just can't suppress the agitation I felt. Rika was carrying that festival hoe. You probably realized it, but it's not a hoe for plowing fields. It's a tool for dissecting human bodies. I didn't see the dance all the way through, so I don't know what kind of performance Rika was putting on after I left. When I told this to Takano, she kindly explained Rika's dance. To summarize, after what I see, Rika would pierce the futons with that hoe, cut them open, and pull out the cotton inside. She cut the cotton out one bit at a time and set it afloat. The kind of ritual it was. Broadly speaking, it was quite a bombastic ceremony, where they ripped out the guts and threw them in a basin, and then the ritual was over. It's thought that afterwards, the villagers, each with a different role, dismantled the flesh piece by piece and feasted upon it. I took it a strange, happy giggle. I felt for some reason violent displeasure. Rika, every day during our lunch break, she'd take a rice-pounding mallet into the schoolyard, worked hard, sweating bullets to practice for the offertory dance she had done today. All that effort, all that work, Takano disgraced it. Even though she worked so hard to practice for today. Takano, I think you should start choosing your words carefully. He seems pretty naive. Don't tease him so much. A moment before I opened my mouth to express how angry I was, she stopped me. Shion must have been awfully aware of how that story made me feel. I'm sorry. I thought that you liked a story with that that sort of shock value since you're a boy. Takano spoke without a hint of malice as she smiled gracefully. After hearing all that, didn't you figure out what kind of stuff is in the storehouse, Kei-chan? Take a look around. She pointed out to one of the walls, vaguely illuminated by the lantern's light. There was, mere moments ago, they didn't even hold my interest. They were just boring-looking tools lining the shelves. All those uninteresting tools I didn't understand how to use suddenly took on a new meaning, and I couldn't help but let out a groan. At first they looked like carpentry tools, like chisels and planes. But when I thought back, I'd seen pictures of those sorts of tools before. They came up as a Japanese history textbook. On the page introducing the Kaitai Shinsho, or the new text on anatomy. These sorts of things. They're printed realistically in the literature of Germany, capital of the medical world. These aren't carpentry tools. tools. These were strangely shaped for dissection. Everyone knows in the Edo period they would dissect corpses of those who had been put to death in order to gain knowledge about Western medical techniques. Illustrations of the dissection tools they used at the time came up in textbook supplements. The things hung up on this wall all looked like those. If you want a scary way of looking at it, think of them as cooking utensils. She held up the lantern, the only light source in the room, and she led us along the wall. She had the only light, so I had to walk with her, whether I liked to or not. Take a look over here. She illuminated a coiled chain, which left a bigger impression of the other things we saw. The chain itself was nothing unusual, but further along it were metal fetters that were like hinges, clearly meant for binding people. Hey, John? You might want to take a look at this. She tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to a restraining table, clearly shaped like a person. My spine froze, and blood felt like it was turning into sherbet ice cream as it crawled up to my back. On each of the joints, there were things like chains and iron balls attached, like the table was searching for its next sacrifice, ready to spread their arms wide and close them in. Probably a chopping block. I think you strapped the sacrifice down to prep them for eating. The word chopping block sent a jolt through my body. When I looked more closely, there were many dark slices carved into it, as though a knife, maybe a saw. There were the most clear-cut signs of usage you could ask for. It was proven that these tools weren't just for show. They were used for original purpose. If someone was strapped tightly onto this table, they probably wouldn't be able to move even a muscle. Their guts would be defenseless. You take one of those eerie cooking knives lined up over there, stab them with it, and you slice open the belly and dissect them? I'd heard stories, but this is incredible. Before coming here, Shion had mentioned she had a good guess of what was inside, but it's starting to exceed her imagination. There's still more. How about it? More fantastic than a wax museum, isn't it? Takano had this happy expression like she was visiting a toy store for the first time. I seriously don't get it. This Miyo Takano person has some nerves of steel. Are these bizarre, grotesque objects that are that fascinating to her? I, for one, wasn't enjoying myself. Let me be frank here. This was too weird for me. Still, there was something even more horrifying than all of this. That would be none other than Takano herself. I mean, look at her. She's holding the lantern, giving them off such a thin beam of light. If she suddenly turned it off, what would I do when the next moment everything went totally dark? This is why I'm scared. She had the only light. And I was scared anyway. At some point, Shion had started holding on to my shirt sleeve. It was a little annoying to walk, but I didn't shake her off. That minor sensation allowed me to feel the presence of an ally here and now. Before we even walked halfway through the storehouse, the air I felt completely changed. These cruel tools lined up, all crammed into this place. Some were horrible ones made to take away sacrifices' freedom, and some were tools made to efficiently disassemble and prepare the bodies for consumption. Those were just things I understood. There were plenty of others, strange-looking things that I couldn't even guess the purpose of. Now that I was here, I didn't have the slightest desire to hear the details about what sort of terrifying reasons they were meant to be used for. At the very least, they were all completely different from the sort of clean, simple killing function of a katana sword. Tools to kill people, obviously constructed in such a way that they could. If that was the goal, then the person you used them on would obviously end up dead. The kinds of tools here were different. The tools that were here, they're for cutting people, for crushing them, boiling them, cooking them, and for grinding them. They were tools of torture. They were made to kill people. People dying was just an accidental result or an incidental result. They might not even kill them. If the sacrifices could die during such a horrifying ritual process, that would be a nice relief, but they don't even die in the end. They remain in a state of hellish pain, perhaps They were only being allowed to live.
Holy cow. In this moment, did I fully realize just how terrifying and fearsome that difference was. People, you see, most of these wouldn't kill them if used properly. Takano, as if reading my mind, displayed a shocking smile. Burn at the stake, the famous method for execution for witches will kill the person immediately. When the body suffers extreme burns on the skin all over, the decomposition of the skin's chemical makeup processes. Makeup produces poison-like symptoms and causes an immense shock to the victim. Though I suppose it's still very cool compared to the guillotine. You have to wait far long for that to happen.
She described such horrors in such a strange medical way. Shion immediately answered the question I had.
Takano was a nurse.
There's a saying that nothing can scare a doctor. I guess it's true.
And also there was a method of execution in ancient Rome where they would grill the person, like a barbecue, cover the person in wire netting, and slowly cook them over a charcoal fire.
To think the memories of when I went to a day camp with my family would come rushing back now of all time so vividly.
That's what it was like. Apparently they wouldn't die too easy for some reason. According to one source, even if they roasted one side of a person to a crisp, they would still be conscious and able to speak fluently.
Insane! You grilled someone the whole day and to still be conscious.
It's said that in ancient Rome, famous for their executions, there are plenty of ways to execute someone while having the victim stay alive as long as possible. Among them, one method where they will open the gut, pull out the intestines like sausages, pull them up with a wrench, and put them on a public display.
She was behind me, clinging to me, not just because she was scared. She was protecting her stomach.
You would think someone with their intestines pulled out would die instantly, right? But actually, as long as you do it tenderly and thoroughly, it's apparently possible to pull them all out while the person is still conscious.
I felt a sick feeling in my stomach. It was like my organs were coiling up just from Takano's stare.
The pulling them out with a winch was rather exaggerated method. A more barbaric way would have been to slice open the gut, then cut the intestines out and throw them everywhere. Quite imaginable that they did dreadful things like that too, isn't it? However, those being put to death are conscious. It must be far more terrifying than painful.
She spoke with pleasure of she'd come here on a sightseeing trip. I heard Shion gulping multiple times near my ears.
Perhaps Hinamizawa, or rather Onikafuchi village, did something like that for the Watanagashi festival. Just listen. If you try hard, can you hear it?
I wanted nothing more than to not hear anything at all. Why? Why only at times like these do I begin to hear things that I shouldn't? Takano having realized that she scared Shion witless, and I, at this point, she smiled smoothly. Then, she turned on a heel, raised the lantern, and began to walk again. If Takano left us here, we'd get even further away from the light. Shion and I, no matter how scared we were forced to follow Takano along her on our field trip through the ritual storehouse.
I suppose we've seen a bit of everything. See, this place is interesting, isn't it?
She said, raising the lantern high in the center of the storehouse. The dim light didn't change, but for some reason it felt like I was able to see all of those horrible tools at once.
Hey, John?
You might want to look up, she stammered while grabbing the nape of my neck. I couldn't tell because it was so dark, but there were a lot more tools hanging from the ceiling as well. They all looked like they were made of iron bars, but I figured it out. Cages. For cages, they were very small, cramped, like a casket. If you got locked up in there, you wouldn't get locked up inside it. It was another tool meant for restraining people, where the iron bars would squeeze you tightly. So many big, large things of all shapes hanging down. Takano's methods of execution by grilling crosses my mind. We weren't just surrounded on all sides by these terrifying instruments. Things crowding the ceiling were even hanging over our heads. There are many of these sorts of bird cages among European torture devices. I'm surprised to see them in Japan as well. Hey, John? Is there something over there? A person? A mummy? Where? Shion desperately pointed to one of the many human-sized bird cages hanging from the sleep, but I couldn't tell which one. Being that dark, there wasn't any way you could tell if someone was there in the first place. I don't see anything. You sure you're not seeing things? Shion didn't seem convinced, but without a means to confirm or for ourselves, we couldn't do much but wonder. Maibara, after seeing this, had begun to believe in all of it. The countless terrible rituals passed down in Hinamizawa got nothing to do with believing in them. Now that I've been shown the real thing, there's no possible way to deny it. Even the nations of Europe, with all their beautiful landscapes and legends, were like a maelstrom during the terrible witch hunts of the Dark Ages. It's a well-known era that gave birth to countless gruesome forms of torture and execution. Japan was the same way. Didn't it have its own era of hellscape like torturous feasts because of religious suppression and things of that nature? Hinamizawa itself had such a period. It had that much history behind it. Even in Europe, land of the witch hunts, this was all far in the past, no more than a series of historical events, and in this age, nothing like that could happen. I guess that must apply to Hinamizawa as well. Just as Europe has its Dark Age, Hinamizawa had one too. That's how this should be taken. Even if these things really happen in Hinamizawa, they're all long in the past. They don't have anything to do with people living in Hinamizawa right now. Maibara, you really do like this village. It didn't sound like she was making fun of me. She was giving me a light smile. Takano, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You're right. She's suggesting something that made my heart leap into my throat. Are you telling me these horrible things might be going on today? What I'm about to tell you is a secret, okay? I told you, Shion, because you're an understanding person, but the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished. She flashed a devilish smile, as if revealing the immorality of it. Maibara, you must keep this secret. If this gets out, I could suffer or Shiro-sama's curse will be made into a sacrifice. If this curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's a sacrifice, I'll probably be thrown into the Gonzo swamp while still alive. It is tomorrow, you know. Night of Shiro-sama's curse. Takano said that, bringing her face right up close to ours, as if to say, if she had a choice, she'd suffer. That was what she seemed to be implying. Takano took a fairly worn notebook out of her paper bag and flipped through the pages. There were all sorts of references and newspaper clippings attached to them. All had matter of things written inside. Letters were very small and bunched together, so I couldn't tell at a glance what it was about. What I would really like to do is search through the National Library for the newspaper of the era. But here it is. A photocopy of a page from some book was slid into the notebook, and it too was written in small tight lettering. Like the other pages, I couldn't tell what it was by glancing. It's a story that actually happened. Around the end of the Meiji area, they discovered an unknown mangled corpse, the victim of a murder, in Onikafuchi village. An old newspaper clipping attached to the paper spoke of something that was no more than mere rumors or fairy tales. We don't have most police documents from times anymore. It was all based on oral traditions and memories. It's not very clear, but it looks like a cutout from a newspaper of the Meiji area. Never before there had been a corpse treated with such cruel inhumanity could it be the work of a demon. Being a copy of a copy, it was very hard to make out, but it was more than enough to make me feel strangely tense. Near the end of the Meiji era, in old Onikafuji village, a mangled corpse was discovered. The identity of the corpse was unknown. It wasn't even in a state where it could be identified in the first place. It was missing a hand, and each limb was separated from the body. Skin had been peeled off the entire body, and there were markings that implied terrible torture in every place imaginable. Not only that, but the belly had been cut open by a sharp knife with the entrails completely dragged out. The police immediately began an investigation, but since they couldn't even determine the identity of the victim, much less the criminal, finding the answers was extremely difficult.
Do you understand what it must have been like?
I couldn't even imagine such a strange sight, even if I tried. This was the first time I was ever thankful for my lack of imagination.
The victim was skinned while still alive, underwent all kinds of torture, and was killed brutally. The author here also thinks that even after death, the remains were divided and dissected even further, the epitome of inhumanity. I'm of the opinion that the entire process was performed while the person was still alive. What do you think, Maibara?
She spoke in a way intended to make me imagine even more vicious things. As my brain was already far over capacity, however, there was no way I could imagine anything more brutal. Then when I broke my gaze from Takano's, those strangely shaped weird tools were all around us. I wonder if you could faithfully reproduce the mutilated corpse discovered at the end of the Meiji area, with the tools found in its place. I want to deny it. I don't want to admit that I don't want to admit that something so terrible could happen at all. Even so, they were so strange, so terrifying, these tools. And as if they had seen through my attempt to escape from them, they did nothing but ridicule me silently. So that creepy incident, what was it in the end?
The author said, regarding Onikafuji village's dreadful customs, they've survived into the recent post-Meiji eras, and that perhaps they lasted until around the beginning of the Showa period. This corpse, which at a glance had been brutally killed after a period of torture. In actuality, however, it was the pitiful sacrificial remains of the man-eaters' terrifying feast. The corpse was just leftovers. So fantastic, so strange, that it didn't feel real. Was this an extension of the legends too? It happened in the Meiji area, though, which is just too recent to be called a legend. And there was a newspaper clipping right here that suggested.
But even if it really happened, it's gotta be some long time ago, isn't it? I mean, the Meiji area ended about 100 years ago.
That's all. Only 100 years ago. Besides, it keeps happening even after the beginning of the Showa period. Like with the uproar around the post-war canned flesh incident. Oh, I apologize. That story was taboo, wasn't it?
She immediately stopped talking as if worried about Shion. She briefly looked somewhat angry, but that expression soon disappeared.
Takano, what did you say? Canned flesh?
There were a huge creaking noise. Everyone went around to look. It was Tomotaki who had opened the door slightly. Did I startle you?
Oh, Jiro, you couldn't resist seeing inside. A splendid treasure trove of torture devices.
I'll pass on that. I'll bad with this sort of thing by nature.
He held her stomach and had to muffle with her laugh, as if she wanted to make a comment about his masculinity.
In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going down to the stream. The festival will be over within minutes.
That's no good. My bro is just such a good listener that I couldn't help tell stories.
I'd really rather you not mention me in a place like this.
Jiro, could you wait out front? I want to take a few pictures. There are actually a lot of tools I like to bring home, but we obviously can't do that.
Takano took the camera out of her paper bag and began to snap photographs. She looked like she was having fun, like she was on some scavenger hunt. Keiichi, are you leaving too? I think I've seen enough. Shion, you're good, right? How about we get out of here? I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I feel a bit of hesitation at leaving Takano by herself in the darkness. When I thought about it, though, I realized that whatever kinds of evil spirits and ghosts lurked in the darkness, none of them could hold a candle to how scary she was. Even if a phantasm were to appear, she'd be overjoyed and flash the camera at it. It seems Shion shared my somewhat rude mental images. We exchanged glances and smiled painfully. We left Takano there, bathed in her strobe of camera flashes, and decided to go leave the ritual storehouse. Everyone at the festival seemed to have gone to the stream, so their voices were distant. The voices of the bugs, on the other hand, were clear, leading an empty feeling of isolation to the place. How was it? Interesting? Tomataki gave us a somewhat mischievous grin. He should have been able to tell by the look of how pale our faces were. I should have kept watch outside with you. He laughed so delightfully it wiped away our dark feelings. How did you fare, Shion? Were you scared? I was prepared for it, so I wasn't too afraid. But seeing the real thing, quite powerful. She poked like she wasn't scared at all. She really had been quite afraid, but seeing as how I was in a way worse state than her, I didn't have much room to talk. As Tomataki grinned candidly, my mind, exhausted and locked up by nervousness, began to calm himself. Was Takano an adult about this little expedition? You know how she seems like a child sometimes. I was worried she'd be way too excited. Both Shion and I laughed, and left that as our answer. Hopefully she was only looking at things. I'll worry if she sneaks something out of there, or mess with a ritual implement too much and break it. Right. That is quite possible. She is alone in there right now. She might pilfer something small and easily conceal hiding in the pocket. Yeah, I can see that, Shion said what I was thinking. You sure she didn't break anything? I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. I'm sorry, I ran out of film. Jiro, if you have any more, can I use some? Takano suddenly appeared while we were talking about her, taking everyone by surprise. Speak of the devil, and he may appear. Tomataki smoothly grinned and responded as if nothing had happened. Pretty mature. I'm on out of the spare film. Sorry about that. Jeez, you won't win any bolt prizes by not stocking enough for any occasion, you know. I suppose that's it then. Tomataki scratched his head apologetically. Without film, we were done. Takano seemed to have given up because of that too. We checked carefully to make sure we hadn't left anything inside, then closed the door and turned to the heavy padlock we'd left beside it. Takano, you didn't sneak anything out, right? How rude. I'm trying not to be that childish. Tomataki set the padlock back to the way it was. From a cursory glance, it didn't look like thieves snuck it at all. Okay, let's get out over to the stream ourselves. If we don't, at least some of the cotton will... At least that's some cotton float, there won't be any point in coming. Tomataki spoke brightly, urging us all on. Sending cotton afloat down the stream. I shook my head a few times, driving away my dismal thoughts as to double meaning. Takano, looking a little let down, kept turning back to the glance at the ritual storehouse. Let's just leave it at that, alright? You saw enough to sate your curiosity, didn't you? Oh, not at all. Everything I found only renewed my interest. All those stories and legends suddenly hold water. After today, I'm gonna have to change the way I look at things. She's truly indomitable. Her curiosity really is something else. Still interested in all this, through and through. We descended the stone stairs and all the people crowded the stream came into view. Here at the bottom of the stairs, we could clearly see people receiving cotton that had been cut out of them, then wishing upon the cotton and setting it afloat down the stream. The festival was already over. Damn, I missed my chance to photograph the best part.
Oh, but it's not too late. I'm going to go and set some full float. Perhaps you could take some pictures of me.
Oops, I accidentally clicked on something. Whoopsie! Takano, with an impish expression, brought her head to Tomataki's shoulder. Despite his age, he looked embarrassed. I felt an honest respect for Tomataki, man to man, for dating such a handful of a woman. If you think they're dating, I'm sorry. Goodbye then, Maibara, Shion. We're gonna go down to the stream. Wouldn't you like to come with us? I don't think so. I might get in the way. Take your time. Shion waved her hand to them with an expression just as impish as Takano's. Tomataki on his part seemed to want us to come, but whatever. Shion gave a big stretch and sat down on the stone steps. I'm pretty worn out. Same here. I'm exhausted. Kei-chan, this is your first one to Nagashi, isn't it? You go on, don't mind me. I'm tired. I like to step away from the crowd. If we were to go now, we'd barely slip into the end of the cotton drifting ceremony. My sister and your other friends might be looking for you, so go on. Oh, right. They've been by themselves ever since we got separated. I feel bad if they were looking for me. Then she got a playful look on her face, putting her lips under her lips, was telling me to keep this a secret. My sister's type that gets really jealous. If she knew I was hogging you this whole time, she'll never let me hear the end of it. Keep tonight a secret, okay? Keeping tonight a secret. Don't say things like that, it's so embarrassing! Not only because of that, either. Considering what you were doing tonight, we probably will need to keep it secret. Or a sheer curse might happen tonight, and we four will probably be prime candidates. The loosening threads of tension became taut. Shion, however, bursts out. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here before I run into my sister. I really am tired, so I don't have the endurance to put up with her. I can't tell if you get along with her or not. We get along. Though when she said that, her vague expression explained that there are a lot of oddities in a relationship between twins. I'm an only child, so I wouldn't really get it. Make sure you get along with her. Right. Thank you kindly for the battling. I'm gonna go now. You should hurry up if you want to make it. But Nagashi really is about to end. She stood up and brushed the dust off her backside, and after watching her do so, I returned my eyes to the final ceremony of the Watanagashi festival below me. Seriously though, what was that sound? An unpleasant and creepy sound. What sound? That sound. The banging noise. Really loud, wasn't it? I was giving her a blank expression, so Shion stared hard at me. I stared hard at her too. Sorry, could you give me the short version? What was making noise? Wait, Kei-chan, it didn't even bother you? When all's said and done, it was like we were speaking two different languages. Shion, explain. Please stop joking. From the beginning. What's this about noise? Kei-chan, you quit joking around. Really, honestly, it didn't bother you? Neither of us was giving any ground. And both of us were staring at each other in disbelief. We were answering questions with more questions, with no sign of an actual conversation in sight. Baffled, I held in the urge to shout at her and ask politely one more time. Okay. Last time. I'm gonna ask it. She nodded. Okay, you said there was a sound. Now, what was you talking about? The banging sound. A kid jumping up and down on floorboards somewhere far away. It really didn't bother you? Nothing to be bothered by. When did you hear that? I didn't hear anything. Wait! You can't be serious! Shion, as if she didn't understand my plain and simple answer, pressed me further. Her expression became serious. I didn't have a clue what she was talking about. But it has Shion acting like this, whatever it was, it gave me the creeps and sent a chill down my spine. It was while we were looking inside the ritual storehouse with Takano, about the time she started her stories, I think. Little by little, louder and louder, off and on. She heard a banging sound like a child jumping on distant floorboards? Well, that can't be true. Don't start trying to scare me after that. I didn't hear anything at all. In fact, it was so utterly silent in there, my own heartbeat was deafening. Don't try to scare me either, Kei-chan. It was like something was making noise in time with Takano's scary stories, and I was totally creeped out. A chill rose from my spine to the back of my head. My blood turned cold as it crawled on my body. When it reached my head, my mind froze over. You and Takano weren't paying any attention to it at all, so I pretend to not hear it either, but... You heard it, right? It happened a bunch of times and it was really loud. Her eyes were begging me to tell her I heard it. I had no doubt, however, that my own eyes was suggesting something entirely different. You've got to be kidding. In that storehouse, we were surrounded by brutal ritual tools that looked like they were from other planets, listening to terrifying old stories. The whole time, she's been hearing a sound that we couldn't hear, by herself. Should that make Shion, who heard of it, tremble? Or should it make me, who didn't hear it, tremble? I don't know the answer to that. For now, Shion seemed to have made that decision before I did. What are you laughing about? I really got you. I was fibbing the whole time. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. She laughed, saying how easily scared I was, and clapped me on the back. Her smile seemed somehow artificial and actually made me feel worse. Then, leaving me with 2 or 3 generic diplomatic goodbye phrases, she left, like she was running away. All I could do was look after her, my mouth agape. At the end of the day, I didn't have a clue what was going on. She laughed it off and said she'd been lying, but she couldn't possibly have lied. Of course not. And now that I think back, Tomotaki said the same thing. I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. Tomotaki, the most neutral party present at the time, said he heard something. And that noise was real. The banging sounds, as if a child was jumping up and down on floorboards far away. Where she was cursed, which happens every year, might have happened tonight. The more plausible victim candidates: Takano, Tomotaki, Shion, and me. The bustling of the people sounded further away than I would have liked. The sounds of the insects sounded too close for comfort. I'm near so much human warmth, and yet I can't ever go back there again. That was the ominous idea that spread into my mind. All of a sudden, I was pounced on from behind, causing my heart to lurch. Keiichi, we found you. It was Rika. When I turned around, Mion and Rena were there. Mion sighed. We finally found you. Now we just need to find Satoko. Everyone got split up this year. We should make sure we had somewhere to meet up afterwards. You're right. It's a festival. We should all be together. I listened to Mion's happy declaration with a little bit of guilt. Keiichi, did you root for me while I was dancing? Yeah, I saw it all. You did a great job all the way through. No mistakes. Yeah, that's right, Rika-chan. That didn't count as a mistake. I tensed up as I realized I made a mistake of my own. She slapped a hand onto my shoulder a little roughly. A gross sweat broke out over my whole body. Did you do it too, Kei-chan? Did you get some cotton and send it downstream? You haven't yet, right? It's what I could feel her saying. Without the courage to tell any more lies, I shook my head. You haven't, Keiichi-kun? You should go now or it'll be over. Sorry. It's my first Watanagashi, so I don't really understand the rules and stuff. That's right, I'm sorry. Mion took my hand and we started walking down the stone steps. Hey, Kei-chan. Did you see Shion? My heart skipped another beat. Maybe Mion could sense my surprise through my hand. No? Oh well, I sort of thought I saw her. You two look so alike though, so it might have been you. You wouldn't have gotten that wrong. We were wearing different clothes. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Her momentary silence was a death grip upon me. I just can't do anything about that Shion. Well, it's her we're talking about. We just can't leave her be. Her expression returned to her former usual smile, and we continued down the stone steps, her firmly pulling my hand along. What about the tips? I bet there's some tips. From the scrapbook, 4 and 5, and after the festival. Watanagashi. The rite of the Watanagashi is performed during a village festival every June even now, but reading back to its origins turns up a seriously sanguine ceremony. Originally, it would happen at fixed intervals, and after receiving Orishiro-sama's trust, they would choose to sacrifice. Then the entire village will kidnap or demon away the person and ceremonially dissect and devour them in a feast. The rules that determined the intervals were shrouded in mystery. It is because the ceremonies occurred extremely irregularly. There is a theory that was determined based on astrological fortune-telling, but it isn't too convincing. The residents of ancient Onikafuchi village firmly believed that they were half-man, half-demon transcendents, and that they were more valuable than the humans, and were forced people within and without to accept that. Perhaps the act of kidnapping and eating people was done to prove that they were higher up on the food chain. Just a hypothesis, but maybe a rite of the Watanagashi was a political event for the purpose either being an outlet for or outright diverting the attention of the villagers of the isolated Onikafuchi village, in case any of their complaints or dissatisfactions grew serious. If that wasn't the main reason these ceremonies were held, then it's easy to explain how erratic they were. What about number 5? The alleged importance of implements. I can't find any that gives a concrete description on where the ritual implements were like. They were, however, real, and they were definitely existing in a multitude of different kinds. One source states the implements used in the Watanagashi rite alone numbered 200. The obvious question then is why they required such a myriad. The rite in the Watanagashi was to kidnap people through deeming away, dissecting them, and eating them. I believe the tools were for dissection and restraining, but 200 of them is far too many. Generally, tools evolve in such a way as to reach the solution for a certain problem. Once you reach the ultimate goal, that is to attain a certain level of proficiency, the tool's evolution normally stops. Regardless, why would they create so many different kinds? One of the cultural elements responsible for diversification over time is that of entertainment. Tools used for entertainment would evolve over time and branch out. Unlike normal tools, reaching the ultimate goal will be more of a dead end, and search for the next goal. They would split into many different subtypes. So perhaps it's not a stretch to suggest that these 200 plus implements had some entertaining value. A hypothesis, of course, but maybe the human dissection process was viewed as a type of entertainment. The three families of old would develop new implements or dissection tools after another, and each was varied, novel, and attracted spectators to keep them from going bored. Not unimaginable. All of them will have to be enshrined within that storehouse. There isn't much longer until the night of the Watanagashi. Though its original intent has been lost, I will reveal the secrets of the traditional ceremonial night within this ritual storehouse. I can't restrain my excitement. Watanagashi cannot come soon enough. Post-festival. Late that night, tensions in a police station were strained, and the silence meant his staff members' eyes shifted back and forth between the clock and their telephones, counting the seconds in that stifled atmosphere. Kumagaya-kun bursts in with a young guy trailing behind him. Oishi, I got autopsy results. The court physician just got here. I'm ready to go. I'll head straight for Gifu. Kuma, things have gotten a bit complicated. They appear to be having a very difficult time determining who the victim is. Could they have been dismembered? Nope. Cooked to a nice light brown. He spoke in sportive tones, but the meaning behind his words were heavy. The staff gave a collective sigh. All the way, heads to... Excuse me. All the way, head to toe? Completely blackened, it seems. Probably smells terrible. What a shame it is to be Gifu. Cooked with no possessions. Discarded outside the prefecture. First, it would have taken a week for the body to be identified. The fact they sniffed it out tonight was huge. Komiyama-kun and a few others are performing a thorough night raid at the dentist in Okinomiya. All we do is hope a tooth matches some medical records. Sorry, could someone go buy me 2 or so boxes of Ultra Mild? The young guy answered that information and darted out into the hallway. We did an excellent job finding it this year. It could be that the people who disappeared in the past years were scattered outside a prefecture like this. Then why not bury them? Or sink them into the Sea of Japan or Lake Biwa or something like that. Why though? Hasn't the pattern so far been one person and another dies and another disappears? Kuma, the corpse, was inside an oil jar, unrestrained and cooked. They probably burned them after strangling them. They knew it would be found. So, from the beginning, they didn't want a person to disappear? Not so much as it's just related. The person didn't disappear. Whoever did it seemed to have wanted to make a show of it. It could have been a warning? He folded his arms in a long, heavy sigh. That might have been the case had it happened in town. If they messed up, taking the victim far away and burning them alive wouldn't have been noticed. If they meant it as a warning, they should have done it closer. They wanted to emphasize the fact that they killed the victim, but instead of doing it somewhere for dramatic pleasure, they did it outside the prefecture. Did anyone emphasize it or hide it? Boy, I do wonder what Oishi is up to this year. A telephone rang, cut through the heavy silence. A staff member picked up. Oishi, it's Komiyama. They have it. The dental clinic in Okinomiya fixed the wisdom tooth 3 years ago. What about the records? Complete with x-rays. Well, I feel bad for waking up to this before dawn. Kuma, get out there as soon as you can. Get the records from Komiyama. Will do. Oh, it's also the chief. Oh, it's the chief. Thank you for coming out. Oishi, my apologies. What is the situation? Well, it's just getting good, you see. We're all getting fired up. Whoa! Oh, Lord have mercy. That was terrible. That was fucking terrible. I don't even want to do this. I'm gonna call it quits.